Hello class 11. Today we will do the next part, that is the third part of this lesson, which is based on a socialist kind of an economy, and it's also known as socialism. Okay, so what is a socialist economy? Basically, a socialist economy is a system in which all the means of production are totally owned by the entire society, and they are operated by a public authority, and all the general economic plans are done for the entire community. Okay, so this is a socialist economy. Next is the features of socialism. So what are the features? We'll see them one by one. The first feature is that socialistic ownership of productive resources. Basically, all the resources like land and factories, banks, trade, everything is owned and controlled by the government in this kind of an economy. Next is economic planning. Actually, planning replaces the price mechanism in a socialist economy. If you remember, capitalist economy had this thing of price mechanism, but here there is economic planning. Okay, so there is a proper authority, that means a central planning authority, CPA, which allocates all the resources according to the plan and according to the goals that are set, and all the important decisions regarding the economic problems also are all taken up by the central planning authority. Next is social welfare as the motivating force. Basically, if you remember, in a capitalist economy, what motivated the capitalists was the motive of profit earning or maximizing profit. But here the motivation comes from the idea of benefiting the society, that means welfare of the society. So the only motive over here is to keep in mind that the society is to be benefited. That means the higher interest of the government is in providing welfare to the communities. Next is economic equalities. Now, actually, a socialist economy, it aims at introducing equity, that means equality, in the distribution of income and wealth, which was not present in a capitalist economy. But in a socialist economy, there is equality of income as well as wealth. Okay, so there are equal opportunities that are provided to everyone, and this does not mean that a socialist economy provides full equality. It's not that. But what happens is that a socialist economy tries to provide with equal benefits, equal income, equal wealth. See, to provide absolute equality is not desirable. No economy will want to provide equal absolute equality, because it's sometimes not feasible also, it's not possible also. But a little inequality is okay to have differences in the talents and skills. But socialist economy actually tries to give equal incomes and wealth. The next is classless society. So basically, the difference in the classes, it does not exist in a socialist economy. Okay, this actually means that there is no scope of economic exploitation in a socialist economy. Okay, so if there is no distinction in the classes, then automatically, obviously, it would mean that economic exploitation is not present in the society or in the economy. Next is elimination of competition. Now, since the government has the monopoly of production, that means government is the single authority over the production. So all types of goods in a socialist economy are being produced over here by the monopoly, that is the government. So there is no scope of competition over here. So because the motive is social welfare, and there is the government is the only authority over all kinds of productions of goods and services, so there is no room or no space for competition. There is no rivalry among different production units. Okay, so there is instead of competition, there is actually a spirit of cooperation among the different production units, and also there is a mutual understanding and mutual goodwill that prevails. Okay, now we are are going to see the merits of socialism, or in other words, the merits of socialist economy. Now the first merit is better allocation of resources. So first of all, production is done with the objective of doing what? Social welfare. Second thing is that in this kind of an economy, in socialism, what happens, that resources are allocated by the planning authority. So they are the one who will allocate the resources, and they are the ones who are going to do social welfare. They are going to promote social welfare. So basically, in a socialist economy, the good part is that necessity goods are being produced more, and luxuries are not produced at the cost of the basic necessities of life, because the motive is social welfare. So automatically it means that the production has to be done of the necessity goods. The next merit is fuller utilization of resources. Now here the planning authority would never want to waste the resources. Okay, so keeping the social welfare in mind for the society, the resources would always be fully utilized and not wasted. Okay, so therefore unemployment of resources is absolutely eliminated in a socialist economy. Next merit is elimination of economic instability. Now, all the economic decisions, like I said earlier, are taken by whom? By the Central Planning Authority, that is the CPA. Now, after all the survey is done, after undertaking the entire survey of the needs and the resources of the economy, then a proper planning is done. Okay, by whom? By CPA, like I told you earlier. So there is no possibility that there will be overproduction of commodities or underproduction of commodities. In other words, there will be no depression. There is no possibility of a depression in the economy, and there is no possibility of booms in the economy. Okay, so this instability in the economy is not possible in a socialist economy. Next is equitable distribution of income. So socialism actually, it aims at the establishment of equality in the society. The aim, of course, it is social welfare, but also it aims also at providing equality. Okay, so equality is another aim of the socialist economy. So no matter what the caste of the people is, no matter what the color, no matter what creed they belong to, everything, all of these things do not come in the way of equality. Okay, next is elimination of class struggle. Now class struggle means class means rich and poor. Okay, so there is actually no such thing as class struggle in a socialist economy. Basically, in a socialist economy, the employer is only having one thing in mind, and that is social benefits or social welfare. Okay, so because welfare is the motive, there is no reason to exploit the consumers or the people or even the workers. Okay, so there is no such class struggle between the rich and the poor. The next merit is provision of social security. So all the workers who work in a socialist economy are provided with benefits, like they are provided with different kinds of facilities. For example, education facility, health facility, old age pensions, housing facilities. These are all examples of different facilities, or in other words, social securities that are provided to the workers of a socialist economy. Next is increase in productive efficiency. So basically what happens is that, of course, like we all know that there is equality, so there are equal opportunities for everyone, and all the people are provided with jobs. Okay, everyone is provided with social security also. So there is no chance of exploitation. Now when there is no chance of exploitation, then this leads the workers to actually work hard and to show their efficiency. Okay, so therefore this is increase in productive efficiency. The next merit is rapid economic growth. Now because a socialist economy is considered to be a planned economy, therefore it is more effective and it is more efficient, and resources are very effectively and efficiently utilized, and this actually leads to a higher economic efficiency. That means it leads to a rapid or a very quick economic growth. And the last merit of this kind of an economy is production of more useful goods. So basically in this kind of a society, useful goods are produced and the motive is social welfare. So luxury items make no sense over here, because we have to benefit the society. Society will be benefited by getting salt and sugar and other essential commodities instead of a very good looking fridge or something. Okay, so useful goods and necessities are being produced over here. Okay, next we are going to see the demerits of a socialist economy, or we can say the demerits of socialism. The first demerit or first drawback is difficulties involved in the rational allocation of resources. Now it is actually very difficult to achieve a very logical kind of allocation of resources. See, to allocate resources you really need to plan a lot, you really need to think logically and rationally, which is very difficult to achieve in a socialist economy. Next is loss of efficiency. So a socialist economic system is actually, it leads to maximum efficiency for many reasons, right? So first reason can be lack of appropriate and incentive system. So when proper incentives are not given, then people are not motivated to produce efficiently. Okay, then another reason can be that industries and other economic activities are all managed by bureaucrats, all managed by the politicians who delay the process of decision making, who lead to red tapeism. Okay, these are all examples, or we can say the reasons why efficiency is low. Then next is loss of incentives. Now see, social welfare is the motive. Okay, so there can't be a self interest among the workers to get incentives. Okay, so therefore there is loss of incentives. Workers are actually considered to be government servants. Okay, so their jobs are protected even if they are working efficiently or not. So that is why there is loss of some kind of incentive or a motivational thing. The only motivation they have is to benefit the society. Next is loss of consumer sovereignty. In this kind of an economy, consumer is not considered to be the king. Reason is that in this kind of an economy, production does not take place on the basis of the choices, tastes and preferences of the consumers. If you remember, in a capitalist economy, the consumers were treated as kings because production was being done according to their demands. That means according to the demands of the consumer. But in a socialist economy, there is nothing like this. The consumers are not being treated according to their preferences and choices. Okay. The next demerit is loss of freedom. Now there is no freedom of speech and expression in a socialist country. Basically people are not able to express their views freely. Okay, so there is actually a problem of freedom. There is a lack of freedom in a socialist economy. There is absence of economic freedom. People are not enjoying freedom, political freedom, civil freedom, economic freedom, social freedom. They are not able to enjoy these things. Okay, because there is an interference of the government also. That is another reason why freedom is not seen or not experienced. Next demerit is concentration of economic and political power. Okay, so here what happens is that economic activities are like we all know, they are all directed and controlled by the government. So this actually increases the power of the government over the normal individuals like you and me. Okay, so the government has more control over individuals. Okay, so government does not have a proper mechanism to know the choices of the people. So therefore there is actually every possibility or every chance that politicians and bureaucrats can start enjoying the power. They get absolute power. Okay, so this is a problem that people like politicians and all, they have a lot of authority over everything. So this is also a drawback of a socialist economy. And the last demerit is loopholes in the planning process. Now, actually, improper information which is not proper or inadequate, in other words, such kinds of informations regarding the economic scenarios like economic resources and economic preferences of the consumers and everything like this is suffering. That means there are possibilities of faulty planning also. There can be drawbacks in the planning process also. If CPA is planning, it does not mean that their planning can be perfect all the time. Okay, so there are sometimes loopholes faced in the planning process. Loopholes means some or the other kind of a drawback faced. Okay, so there can be inadequate statistical data. There can be inadequate information about the consumers and people. Okay, so these are some reasons why planning process has loopholes. Students, I hope you all have understood. The fourth part will be ready soon and you will be able to watch that as well. I hope you all are really studying seriously and taking these efforts of your teachers into consideration. So I believe that you will appreciate the effort as well as show us that yes, you are watching the videos and you're taking enough interest by really studying hard and doing your best. Okay students, all the best, and I hope that you will all study well.